Okay, so I ordered that Kuber site pushing tool. And so what it looks like when you get it, I did take it out of the wrapping already, and I lubricated the threads of the pusher threads, and I also lubricated the pushing rod with gun oil just to make it move a little bit smoother. And when I got it out of the package, one of these screws on the bottom that adjust the height of the slide in the tool, one of them was kind of crusty. It wasn't turning freely. So I did take it out of the hole. I lubricated these screws as well. You can see that they're shiny. That's just gun oil, just to make it a smoother process. So I'm gonna loosen these off because you're gonna have to fit the slide up in there. It has nylon rods right here. These little rods are nylon. They're not metal, I don't think. They feel too soft to be metal. But they're adjustable through using the side. You can see that. And watch, when I turn it, it pushes little nylon out. Hopefully you can see that. But it pushes it out, and I can move it back in. So we're gonna move that in like that. And the same thing happens on this side. See how the rod's moving in and out? I'm trying to get it to where you guys can see it. I can't see what the hell I'm doing. Anyways, that little rod comes in and out, and that's what's gonna grab your slide from the sides. You're gonna use both of these. This tool has a block in the middle, and there are multiple ways you can change it out. Obviously, you can either put the slide in and use the opposite side, or you could take the rod out and actually flip the block to whichever side you want. So you just tip it over like that, pull the block off. That's the block. You can see that it's got a angled edge, and it's got the square edge. For what I'm doing, I'm going to use the square edge. So you can take it out and flip it over like that and use the angled edge. But like I said, I'm going to use the squared off edge. So let's slide that in there. And then we'll put that back in. That locks the bar in. That's just a guide bar. Snug that up. So I'm going to move this out the way so I can get the slide in. So move that out the way, just like so. Move that back. And I've already disassembled the gun. I cleared it and everything like that. It's a CZ75. Be aware that some sites will have a Allen key on them that secure it. Hopefully you can see that. But that's a little Allen screw right there that holds that sight on. If you have that, you're gonna have to back that off and get that so it's not grabbing the slide. A lot of sites will have Loctite on them underneath, which makes them incredibly difficult to get off. You can heat them up with like a hair dryer or a heat gun and break that Loctite free. So that screw's loosened off. You can clearly see the thing's in there tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the process of putting it in here. Ah, you little bastard. So we set that up in there. And I was following a lot of people's guidance on using masking tape, and I also cut up a credit card that you're gonna see how that's used, just to keep the slide from getting scratched up. I've already masked off the slide before I started the video, just to speed things up a little bit. I don't think you guys wanna watch me taping it up. It's just masking tape, not super exciting. So I'm gonna close that up most of the way, so I'll get a little gap. I'm gonna take my credit card. Number's no good if you guys want to see it, but I just cut up a credit card, and we'll slide that up. I'm gonna bring that up to it. And all the credit card is doing at this point is just keeping the slide from making contact with the aluminum tool. That's all it's doing. And my sight is pretty long forward, so it can only go so far up into the tool before it hits the sight. So, move that out the way, just so everybody can see. So when I snug this thing up, I'm looking to keep the air gap on this side. If you guys can see the air gap. So there's the air gap right here. You're looking at that air gap. And on this side, this air gap. Should be the same. The bottom of the sight itself is flat. And you're just looking to snug it. You're not looking to crank the dog crap out of it. And then we start beginning to move the side pieces in that grab the side of the slide. These are the nylon bushings I was telling you about. So because I'm pushing that way, I'm just going to leave a little bit of gap there. And then I'm going to bring this one in a lot, because all the pressure is going to the other side. You got to know which side your sights go in. Some of them are one way. On CZ, they recommend right to left, but as I understand it, it can go either way for a CZ. So it's kind of important to know which direction the sight needs to push off. And a lot of times you'll see that on the internet, you know, as far as what direction do I need to push my sights. You can just Google that, and I'm sure somebody out there has all the answers. That somebody is not me. So I'm just going to check and make sure my slide is pretty square. I'm just using the edge of another credit card because they're cut pretty square from, you know, when they make them. So it looks like the slide is in there pretty square, even though the little credit card here makes it look crooked. It is in there straight. You can also mark the masking tape if you wanted to make sure you get your sight centered up with whatever came out of it. I'm just demonstrating. I really don't care either way. This particular slide has these little grooves right here, and I can pretty much gauge which one is in the middle in a line right up with the front sight, hopefully. So now we begin, because I got these snug down. You don't want to just crank the dog crap out of it. You just want it to where it's not going to move and twist on you and roll. And again, I can't adjust the elevation of the slide into the frame any tighter. That's as tight as it goes, or as high as it goes rather. So wish me luck. We're either going to get the sight to pop out, or we're going to tear up a perfectly good pistol. You want to make sure that that metal block does not hit the top of your slide, because that block is roughly, what, 3/4 of an inch it looks like. So you want to make sure that if you're looking at it from the side, you should not have the bottom of this block come in contact with the top of your slide. So you want to make sure this block clears the top of your slide, can't talk. Make sure it clears the top of your slide as it pushes through. If it looks like it's going to touch, I'd back it off and reset it. So we're going to start. So here we go. So right there is a little bit snug. So what I'm going to do is take a little armorer's hammer that you can buy from Harbor Freight or whatever, and give it a little tap, just to jar it. I'm using a brass end so it doesn't damage the tool or the threads or the Allen key. So give it a little tap, and we should hopefully see something happen here. All right, looks like it's moving. And if it was tight all the way through, I would just keep tightening it up a little bit, and then I give it a little tap, tap, and keep it going, and that'll keep it moving. Now, if this slide was put in crooked, you'd be pushing against the actual slide, and this sight would not slide easily. I think that's half the battle that people aren't realizing when they're having all these problems with it. As I understand it, the Springfield sights are tighter than most out there. I would definitely be tapping it most of the way until it broke free. But you can see it coming out. Hopefully you're seeing the same thing I am. I don't know how great the video is going to be. but you keep on turning it until it's free. Boom. There it is. Yeah. Might as well just wind that shit in all the way. There it is. Perfect. And it comes out just like that. And you can see the Allen screw in there. Like I said, if you got any kind of fasteners inside on your sight, make sure you loosen those first. Honestly, don't know that everybody's thinking that when they're doing these. From there, I think normally I would probably just go ahead and clean my channel of the dovetail. I would definitely clean that. In fact, let's do it this way. Slide that off. So because I don't have the other sight right now, I don't even know if they've been delivered or sent yet. Last time I checked, the order was still processing. But I ordered a set of night fishing sights. Is the name of the company, Night Fishing, like F-I-S-I-O-N, Fission. Almost like a nuclear kind of thing. So I'm gonna flip that over because I'm gonna be pushing them in from the other side. And we'll put that back in, tighten up my rod. So this is gonna be set up to go back in. And I'm gonna put these back in just to demonstrate it, I guess. So I'm just tightening up the rod right now, the guide rod that this ride's on, if you can see that. So I just flipped my block over, so that way I'll be pushing from left to the right to put the old sight back in. So, and you're gonna wanna read your instructions. Some sites require a little bit of metal removal, and you could do that as well. So that way it'll slide into the dovetail. You're looking to get at least a third of the sight through into the dovetail before you start pushing. So you got to be able to get at least a third. So we get tap, 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 and start it a little bit. So right there, it's tight. You would not really want to hammer hard on anything with tritium tubes in it, but that's enough to get it going, I think. So we shall see. And again, I'm either gonna turn up a nice gun or it's gonna work, one or the other. Let's see. And it's going to be looking like the same process as before. So I got my slide up in there. I'm going to snug it down a little bit. Because I know there's a lot of discrepancy in how to use this damn thing. That's the only reason why I'm making a video. And I did not use the shims on the removal on the sides. You can put shims on the sides, but they are nylon, so I don't predict too much is going to happen on the sides. As long as it's straight, you should push in and out pretty easily. And again, we're going to make sure our air gap is even. And we got it back far enough. I'm going to snug that. Again, you don't need to crank it too tight. Just enough to hold it in place. Oh. Take that back up. Yeah, you can see I wasn't paying attention. I left the block on this side. Block should be on the other side. So we'll open that up so the block fits in there. Not a big deal. You just pull that out. Boom. Slide that over. Get that on the other side. screw back in. Like so. And we wind it down. And that'll hold our guide rod again that the remover works on. Snug that down. All right, so let's go ahead and tighten that down. Actually, let's do this. Bring it more in. I'm gonna check to make sure it is square. If I knew where my other card was that I was using. Clearly that's not square. Where's it? Nope. It's pretty square. So that looks good. And again, I won't worry about the top card because that's what's throwing it off, making it look crooked. Cinch it down just a little bit more to really hold it in place. But you're not looking to crush everything. And we wind that back in. Try to show it like that, maybe. And we take and wind it back in, and then hopefully it goes in smoothly. And you'd center it back up, obviously, to wherever it goes. The CZ sight has a cut in the middle. Now it's starting to get tight. It's almost centered. Right there. That looks pretty centered. Yeah, that looks pretty centered. All right. Then we release our tension on it. Slide this out the way. Gonna loosen it off these. You want to loosen them off enough to where you can get the slide out from the tool. So back them off a good ways. Like so. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. It's probably going to be a crappy video, who knows. And we just drop that down. And then we'll release our arms that come in with the nylon. So we're unscrewing the arm. And you can see that it's freed up right now. Boom. Done deal. And then you would have your sights installed. Last thing you would do, if you have the set screw, you're going to go ahead and wind that in. Back to where it was with this bowed up little Allen key that I have. And you would snug it. Then you can use Loctite on it if you want to going back. But as tight as it is, the set screw and just the The dovetail should be enough to hold that thing from moving. I don't plan on throwing it around in the ground or anything crazy. Then you would remove all your tape. Let's see, put that one on first. And you can see that the slide is not damaged on the top. Take off the sides. And you can see that they're not damaged on the sides. The pusher did leave a little line right here. So when I go back with my new ones, I'll probably just put a little piece of tape over top. I'll show you like this. Keep in mind, this is not how it normally would look. I'd probably take a little bit more time with it with the new sights. But I'd see where the pusher grabs it, and I'd probably take time to put like probably 2 pieces of masking tape on it like so, that fit it. Like that. And then I'd probably just go ahead and double up on that like so. If it's worth doing once, it's worth doing twice, right? So let's set that up on there like that. So that would give me 2 layers of tape that would keep that pusher from marring it and putting a line on the new sight. I don't plan on going back with these, so it doesn't matter. But when you put your new sight in, I'd suggest putting tape right there, wherever that mark is, and that'll protect the sight from getting damaged or getting a line on it if that bothers you. I mean, honestly, I don't really care because, like I said, I'm not reusing these. But it didn't damage anything on it. Everything looks great. Does have stuff in it. Not from the tape, but just probably my dirty little hands. But I'll clean that out with a brush. Anywho, it doesn't mar it up if you do it right. But the tool works. For 40 bucks, can't really complain but so much. I think that's what it was, 40 something. But that's how it works. So hopefully this video helped. Like I said, key thing is making sure you got the air gap. Oh, just move the camera. Make sure you got the even air gap as you're going. You want things snug, not tight. Right? Snug, not tight. If you tighten it down, that's when you can cause damage. The reason why it would get damaged is because of it be hitting the top of the actual tool, which is aluminum. That aluminum is quite thick, it's not gonna give. So if you tighten the dog crap out of it, you're gonna be in for a really bad day. And the same thing with the sides. Like I said, these things are nylon, I guess, what they're made out of, that stabilize it from side to side. And they're adjustable with the end screws. And that's how those work. And that's pretty much what you're getting for your money. And they claim that this thing works on pretty much most firearms. I'm sure there's going to be some that maybe it doesn't work as well, but for like Glocks, which I'm not a Glock fan by any stretch. I use them at work, not my favorite pistols. To me, they're just cheap ass guns that don't look good. But they do work, so I'll give them that. That's a plus. And there you have it. If you got any questions, hopefully this answered it. But for 40 bucks to be able to use it on multiple guns, I think it's going to be fine. Make sure you use at least gun oil or some type of lubricant on your guide rod. This is the guide rod for the pusher, right? The silver piece. Make sure you lube up your threads. You're going to want to take these screws all the way out, put oil all the way down the threads, run them in 2 or 3 times, make sure the threads get oiled inside, and you'll feel that get smooth. when you're using it. And I had to do the same thing down here to get these to work. Lubricate those and run them in and out a couple of times. So hopefully this helps somebody out there. I know when I got it, I was like, ooh, how the hell does this work? Well, I figured it out. So that's how it works. And I think it seems like a quality tool. We'll find out when I get my new sights. Hopefully it'll go in pretty easily. If you're using fiber optic, you should be able to use it for fiber optics without breaking them, hopefully. It depends on how far down this can go. I know some of the extended fiber optic doesn't work so well because it's got a strong base, but then it's got a little connecting piece that goes to the fiber optics. And if you're trying to push it out and it's tight, it's probably going to snap the front sight off. On CZ, you can see that on this particular gun, the sight is held in with a roll pin right here. That's a roll pin. So it's not going to be like a dovetail. It does have a dovetail, but it comes in from the front. So it just slides in from the front, and then you find the hole and you tap the roll pin back in on this particular gun. So other guns will have a dovetail. Glock just screws in from the bottom. They got a screw there. So that's how you would put a Glock's front sight in. You don't have to use a pusher. So hopefully that helps. All done. Easy peasy. Good luck. Don't tear up your stuff. Make sure it's even. Take your time with it. Right angles. Always right angles.